Welcome to another episode of my Checka, the show where I talk to dope, interesting people doing dope things. We have the first time ever a sister of a previous guest, the older sister of a previous guest, Dominique Lovings. Was Saint Est. What she call herself? Saint
Angela's.
Saint.
Yes.
So, and they totally different too, like literally totally different people. I didn't even know they were sisters for a while though. And I think I remember when I found out y'all sisters, I was like, that's not like, are they sisters like, sisters? Or are they like, they're like, no, we blood sisters, like same.
Yeah. Same genetic makeup. Yes.
Yes. And this is her sister, Jenelle Lovings. She's an interior designer, dope stuff that she done. I was telling somebody there, like, yo, she got some dope stuff that I want to trick out in the crib when I get my money right at some point, and I grow up, at some point for her design, some dope feng shui that was going on. Some of these pictures she didn't put up on Instagram. And I was like, that's some real West Coast stuff right there. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that in Tupelo, Mississippi, and just move there and just have that set up. And people gonna be like, man, yo, I went to Darryl house in Tupelo and it looked like I was in Vegas. And I was like, that's exactly the style I want. ST Alien out in Arizona. We're gonna talk about her interior design business and how she's going with that. But first, before we get into that, we were talking about something we want to jump right into off the bat. Young Kevin Samuels, as we like to call him.
I hate that. As much as I want to talk about him, and we are going to talk about him, I hate talking about him because it's like we should not be like pumping this man up. Like
it's simple mathematics with him though. Like all the stuff he's saying is true in math. If you're doing like this, A plus B equals C, yes, to get a woman or to be with a woman. But after you get in a relationship with somebody, all that shit goes out the window.
It does.
None of that stuff makes sense. There's no science to it. Yes, getting somebody to be a mate, Kevin Samuels is correct in his general premises. But that's 10% of the whole situation with being with somebody, is that everything else really happens after that. And that makes no sense. There's no science for it. Albert Einstein couldn't keep a woman, and he made E equals MC squared for us. So if he can't keep a woman, none of us can. So that's how I feel.
I mean, it's just one of those things. And again, I've only seen that particular video.
The one with the girl where he told her, like, you're going to be alone forever.
But my thing was the way that he was talking to her as if she was like piercing ears at Claire's. Like he was making it seem like she was reaching for like LeBron James. Like I deserve that. Like I deserve a multi-million-dollar nigga. She was asking for shit like she said I wanted a 6-figure dude. 6 figures is like nothing.
But it depends on where you're at, though, because I believe she was in North Carolina. 6 figures is do you well in North Carolina.
Yes, for sure. But, but again, he made it seem like, like you're not. And again, the idea of going to certain places and putting yourself in certain environments, going, to be seen, like you're not going to meet anyone, whether they are like the garbage man or, a multimillionaire just sitting at home on your sofa. That's not going to happen. You're not going to meet them if you're just, like you may meet them at the grocery store, but what grocery store are you going to? Are you going to Aldi? Or are you going to Whole Foods? You know what I mean? So there is validity in that.
Are you going to Pete's Sure Save?
Right. Exactly. Going to Nationals.
Yeah, Nationals. Yes. There's different levels of this.
Like, so there's validity in that. But then he made it seem like, what she was asking for was something so astronomical. And then he completely devalued her own success. Like literally what she was asking for was what she had. She had a successful business. And he was like, well, you only been making 6 figures for like 2-3 years. So I was like, so wait, she has a successful career. She makes X amount of money and she's asking for a dude that also makes that amount of money and you're telling her that's too much. And again, like for him, he's basing this all off of her looks. That's it.
Oh, like but that's bare none, because if she was a 9 or something like that, he wouldn't be having. He wouldn't have been. She could have 5 kids. She could have 5 kids if she was Bernice Burgos. If she had 5 kids, it wouldn't even be like that. And that's my point. That some people are superficial like that.
Right. They just are. And I'm like, it's so many people who don't care about that. Like I know now, my friend slash my boss that just started working for him like maybe like a month ago. He's like my age. I mean, makes a lot of money, has like 3, 4 businesses. I mean, multimillionaire, dating a woman who has 2 kids. And these are white folks, deals with baby daddy drama and don't care. And he's like, I don't even know if I want my own kids. I'm cool with hers. Like,
It's like if they leave, they leave. Like I ain't gotta keep them.
and they're little, they're like 8, 9 years old. So it's just like, those people are out there. There's so many, it's rarely guys who are like, I'm not gonna talk to this woman because she got kids, especially the older we get. It'd be different if you're like 20 and you're like, she got kids, versus being 30 and she got kids, or 40 and she got kids. Because guess what? He probably got some kids too.
Yep.
Probably got several that he doesn't even know about. So,
yeah.
You know what I mean? So for him to like discount her and say that you just gonna be alone if you don't like lower your standards. Like if you don't date old dude that like is, I don't fucking know, the janitor at the local high school, then you're not gonna get nobody. Like that doesn't make any sense.
And it devalues other men though too. Like the other dude that is just a janitor, just hustling, maybe got his little 401k, just living his life regular, like he's not a man of means. That's all relative to me.
It really is. And honestly, at this point, for me, well, I think, yes, is it as easy, to love a rich dude as a poor dude? Sure. But it's like, I would rather have somebody that I know that's going to value me, that's going to treat me well, that I actually get along with, that, like we get along with each other. We want to be around each other. It's a whole bunch of people who are out here getting, Birkin bag, and then they might be cheated on. You know what I mean? It's like, they might be getting abused in any type of psychological, physical type of way. Whereas you might have a dude who's just like, well, here's this bag from Aldo,
which is still nice. There's still some change on that for a regular brother.
It's still cute. But guess what? Like he honors and cherishes you. Like he bends over backwards. You have like a true partnership. So what is wrong with that? Like, things are nice. Like everybody wants some shit. Like we all love to have stuff. But at the end of the day, like, does that really make your relationship the things that somebody is able to buy you?
And I think men and women get that twisted in general. Like I think sometimes like giving, like you get a whole bunch of stuff from somebody, or somebody's giving you a whole bunch. That could be a lot of sex. That could be a lot of the things that they equate that with love. Like, oh no, that I love him because he bought me this, and this. Like,
right.
That doesn't necessarily, he just keep tricking.
Hello.
Tricking.
Hello. So, and if that's what you want, that's what you want. But
that back end, but you don't want to know that back end. That back end look like, especially if he tricking on you early, like a lot at the beginning, and then that back 2 or 3 years later, he ain't get them contracts like he thought.
Right.
And them Birkin bags become them Aldo bags.
Right. Exactly.
Then you're gonna be like, he don't love me as much because he can't get you the Birkin bags because you've equated that with
right. Exactly. And it's like, what is the true value? Like, yes, okay, Birkins, they like increase in value, but in general,
they do. I didn't know that.
Yeah, especially if you get like certain specialty ones.
Oh, so these are like mid shoes then. So these are like sneakers then, almost, where you can get your sneakers can go up and okay. Well, then it sounds like more of an investment now. All right.
They are, but the thing is, it's like, but you know what else is an investment? Like investing in relationships, or investing in growing a partnership. Maybe it's not a bag, but maybe it's something else like that your money can be spent on that is more valuable. And it doesn't necessarily mean like, I don't love you or I do love you. It's like, let's be smart. Like if you are regular, like unless you are, Sweetie and
Quavo.
Whoever she dates.
Quavo, as I call him, Quavo.
Quavo, yeah, okay. Unless you are them, you are not getting those things. Like most people, the average person is not getting that. And if you think that, well, I have to have that because they have that and he loved her And so if you're going to love me, I have to have those things. It's just so unrealistic. So, I don't know. People just got to figure it out. It's really not that hard. It really isn't.
But the
We make it
confines of
harder than
actual
what it is.
relationship is hard, but he's making it easy. Like, okay, you just need to do these 5 things and you're going to be able to get a man. Yeah, that's cool. You got him. But
And the thing with
is
relationships,
he a good person? Are y'all
yeah,
compatible? Are y'all willing to work on this?
right.
Are you even a good person?
I don't
Let's
know.
start off where you from. Your sister already told y'all from the West Side.
Yes.
Off of
Paige and
Union.
Goodfellow.
So did y'all go to school in the city, or y'all? I forget.
Yeah.
So y'all went to what, Sodan or something?
No, actually, I went to Metro for high school.
Okay.
So Dominique, I don't know where Dominique was. She went to like 2 schools. She went to, I think, Lindbergh and then Parkway North. I don't know.
She did go to Parkway North. She did say she went to Parkway North.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't even know. Like, damn.
Because Dominique and then my other little sister, I don't know what they were doing in high school. I think Jennifer went to like 3 different high schools or something. I'm like, what is going on? My background was pretty like straight and arrow. Now I did transfer in college. I did do that.
So you went to Metro, then where'd you go after the Metro?
I did my freshman year at Purdue, did not like it, and then went to Mizzou, and it was exactly the same.
I mean, all the PWI college town experiences are identical. So
they really are, but going to Mizzou felt like mini Metro. So I was a lot more comfortable.
Got you.
With like the people that, I was friends with. Like, had I stayed at Purdue, I probably would have like shifted friend groups, just because like a lot of people I was hanging out with, like they were cool people. One of the girls I still keep in touch with, she still calls me, for my birthday occasionally. But like we were just on different trajectories. So it really wasn't for me. But going to Mizzou, I think maybe like 10 kids, maybe it was like 10 of us total, I think, from Metro that went to Mizzou. That might be a lot, but which doesn't seem like a lot, but we only graduated with 60 kids. So percentage wise, that's a huge number. So that's where I ended up transferring there. And then after I graduated Mizzou, I had
because that's in West Lafayette, right? And Purdue is, right?
Purdue is, yes.
Yeah, my little brother went to the Black Summer program at Purdue. My little brother did.
They have a Black Summer program at Purdue.
You didn't know? Oh.
Had no clue.
Yeah, he went there for high school kids. I remember I drove him there. Because we're 7-8 years apart. So he was like 15. I was like 22 or something. And I remember having to drive him. No, he was like, maybe he was in middle school, because I hadn't graduated college yet. I was like 21. So yeah. So yeah, it was like a thing for like maybe like 8th graders, 9th graders or something like that. And he went to it. It was for like, he stayed for like 2 weeks.
Oh, okay. Nope, did not know that even existed. And honestly, like Purdue was weird in that those were probably my first like frat bro type of experiences that I had.
I guess, yeah, but you wouldn't have it in St. Louis.
Well, like in Mizzou, I was hanging out with Black folks. So, like the Black people that went there, that's who I was hanging out with. Whereas at Purdue, like my main friends, like one of the girls, she was Hispanic and it was another girl that was Black, but somehow they got hooked up. I think the Hispanic girl was dating like a white dude or something. So we were always at like this frat house.
Oh, see, I was at the Sigma Chi parties.
Right. It was odd. But like Purdue was one of those places where like you see the videos where it's like the white fraternities and then they team up with like the Black sororities and they teach them how to stroll and all. That's
I saw that. That's a little bit of a newer, that was because you're just a little bit younger than me. That was around that time. That was newer.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So they was doing that type of stuff. And it was weird. But again, like that was kind of like my introduction into all of that. So
you went to engineering at first then?
No, I was still doing interior design.
Oh, at Purdue? Okay. I just assumed everybody went to Purdue as in engineering.
Honestly, let me tell you, I went to Purdue because I was lazy. Their application was one page. It was one page. It did not require an essay. You could have like the SAT or the ACT. Like I never took the SAT.
Really?
And yeah, and I got in. I was like, okay,
And
well,
Metro, in Metro, I would thought they'd have made y'all take both.
you didn't have to take anything. Like
Okay.
everybody, yeah. I mean, we had like prep courses for it, but you didn't have to take it. So, but yeah, like I was just being a bum. I'm like, okay, I don't even know how Purdue even got on my radar, honestly. But it's like one of them state schools that sound nice.
Mm-hmm.
So it seemed like it was a big deal when in reality, it really wasn't. So yeah, I was like, okay, I went there and I'm like, the only reason why I even transferred, I was like writing a paper and I had to write some paper on my major, and in looking up like schools that were like accredited, I was like, let me see if Mizzou has this program, and they did. But what they called it was something different, and so that's probably why it didn't even register to me when I was applying, because it wasn't like interior design. I think they call it like environmental design. So to me, that sounds like, I don't know, maybe like landscape.
That's what I was saying, landscaping. I was just gonna say landscaping.
Something like that. So I didn't even like think about it. And so literally, at least like the middle of the night, I'm typing up this paper and I was just like, oh, they have this program? Cool, I'm out. I'm about to apply to transfer. Did that night in the middle of the night. It got accepted and that was it.
It was real simple.
It was really, really simple.
And so then you get the Mizzou, and so then you went to get a master's then too.
I did.
And it was in interior design as well?
That was in architecture.
Okay, so that I see now. Okay, now I'm seeing how it's all connecting.
So I got my master's in architecture from WashU. So yeah, that was interesting also.
Because you were at WashU.
Because I was at WashU, and it was also, and it wasn't so much at that particular moment, but when I studied abroad, that was probably like the first time I experienced culture shock, which to experience it at, like in your 20s is weird. But I took for granted that when I was done with class, I came home and saw people that looked like me. So I never even thought about it. Like at Mizzou, yeah, I had like my studio friends, but for the most part, I lived with, in the dorms, and I hung out with Black folks. So I really didn't, I was the only Black girl in my class, but it was a balance because I still got to go home and spend my social time with, people who look like me. And then the same thing, it was a little bit less of that at WashU, just because the work schedule was so intense that you were spending a lot of your time
with your classmates
in school and with their classmates. And then, I lived at home because it just made the most sense, because it's like, why move out and pay a bill when I'm not even there? And so
I'm on campus most of the time anyway. So
exactly. So, you go home and then turn right back around and go back to class. But it wasn't until I studied abroad.
Where'd you study abroad at?
In Buenos Aires, in Argentina.
Oh man, that's some high level of racism there too, on the low.
They do on the high.
Yeah, that's what I say, on the high level, not even on the low. When people say like on the low, no, this is on the high level racism.
And the thing is, what I experienced was kind of like
the Black people they kicked out the country when they had that war, and they put all the Africans on the front lines, and it was like, you made it, you made it back.
And the thing was, it was one of those things where I felt more fetishized there and sexualized there than I have ever felt in my entire life.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And so from like the outside looking in, it seemed like people felt like I should be flattered because like these men are behaving in a certain way towards me. Like legit, I never opened the door. Like people would just be walking down the street and see me about to walk in somewhere, and they would run and open the door.
They walking their dog like, oh no, hold on.
Right. One time we went to the club, all my friends had to pay. The bouncer picks me up. Like, you were picking me, I don't even know what to do. Picks me up, walks me in, and it was just a weird, it was just weird to have that experience. Like, because you just never, again, like women are sexualized anyway, but the intensity of it was just, it was a lot. Like I got groped on the street. I've never been groped on the street here. Like nobody has ever tried to grab my ass, maybe in a club or something, you know how
But
dudes do.
but that's like a little quick, not like in that's like being in jail. Like you expect something to happen in jail when you're at the club, but
Right,
not in Gen Pop. Where you like not in regular.
right. Like not walking down the street outside. Like, what the fuck? Like, who does that? So yeah, it was really an interesting experience. But no, for sure, like you're in class. Then I lived with 4 other girls. So one girl was Vietnamese and the other 3 were white. And so I didn't have that get from class and go home. And so I was just like, wait. And then you really started like interacting and talking to people and realize I'm like, wait, y'all don't know about this? Like, wait, you guys have a completely different experience. And then you would see other Black people, like occasionally I would see Black people, you know, on the street and I would get like the head nod, but I wasn't getting it back. And I'm like, wait, is this not universal?
And that it normally is though.
Yeah, but it was definitely, you know, I think it was universal in America, but I
Now, when
don't
I was in
think
Italy to study abroad, I remember I was at a club.
Italy is different.
Okay, because I was
Because
with one. It was
Italy's
another
proximity,
African Black dude at the club, and I remember I got up there and lied and said Nelly was my cousin. So they took me on the stage, gave me VIP everything, and then I saw the Black dude. He saw me. He knew I was lying. I just got him into the VIP too, and he was like
okay.
good looking. And I'm still cool with him. Like he's from Sudan. Like we still friends on
Okay.
Facebook, everything. Like we start linked up and start kicking it. Like we was like kicking it. Like, but it was universal. Like, you know, I know you lying. He's like, he was Americanized too. So he was a Sudanese dude that grew up in England, you know, the whole demo. So he knew that wasn't no Nelly's cousin. But in Bologna in the 2000s, I was Nelly's cousin.
Well, and that's the thing when I went
They put me on a flyer. They put me on a flyer once, Jenelle.
No, they didn't.
Yes, they did.
No, they didn't. No, they didn't.
Yo, I'm about to find it. It's a flyer of me on there, Nelly's cousin. Like it's a special guest.
That is hilarious.
I got free liquor, free food, everything.
No, like when I went to Purdue, people were like, "Do you know Nelly?" I'm like, "Girl, no." Like
everybody.
I don't. They hear you from St. Louis, and that's the connection that they got. So, but no, it was definitely an experience. But I wouldn't do it again. But I would not trade it.
Right. No,
I'm glad I experienced it, but I wouldn't do a repeat.
So yeah, so no. So what made you? So after you left WashU, why did you go into what discipline did you want to go into? Like what was like, yo, this is a dream of what I want to do with this interior design and architecture degrees?
I've always wanted to do interior design. And wait, let me backtrack. Not always. So growing up, I wanted to be a fashion designer. So I was always into design, but that just didn't make sense to my mother. And you know how our Black mothers are. And you know how they kind of like force you or really like push you in a certain direction.
I think it's Black mothers of all diasporas too, because I hear a lot about Nigerian mothers too that be on that as well.
Yes. So, and I think for her, and you know, don't get me wrong, I feel like they all mean well because what they want is for you to succeed. So they don't want you to struggle, even though that struggle might make you happy. They don't want to think about, you know, well, you're 35 and you're still eating ramen because that's all you can afford because you chose to be.
Give you no money either.
Or that too, you know, like at some point you got to like get your own wings and fly away and do all of that. So for her, I guess when I ended up doing interior design or settling on that, because even when I was applying to school, I was going for business because I mean, all my friends were doing it. I applied to FAMU for their business program because that's what all the niggas was doing.
Yeah.
So
the five-year business program.
Exactly. That's what everybody did. And so that made sense to me, not thinking about the fact that, you know, math. Why? So by the time it was time for me to decide, I was like really thinking about like, what are my passions? So, art, design, all of those things were always just kind of in my blood. Like my dad was a graphic artist. My mom was an artist in her own right. So it was just like natural for me to kind of like gravitate towards the arts, so to speak. And so doing interior design, it felt like for my mother to have some type of structure. So it didn't feel like, oh, you were going to school to just study art. You can like come out with a skill that you can like market. So
Right.
it was kind of like the best of both worlds for her. So it was like, I got to do what I wanted to do. She got the security in knowing that, okay, from there you could get a job. And then my mom is always, she thinks she's like this huge academic. So she's just all about going to school. Like that's all she knows, go to school, go to work, and she always says is like, make yourself royal. So go as far as you can go while your parents have your back. Meanwhile, these student loans are only in my name, but
Unless you want to attach your name to them, I'll go to school for whatever you want me to.
Right. So that's how, I wanted an advanced degree. And then at the time when we graduated, it was just really hard for me to even get any type of experience. I was like trying to pimp myself out for free just to get an internship. So I was just like, okay, well, this is not where it's at. And nobody's hiring. Nobody is looking for anybody to do anything. So that's when I was like, okay, well, I might as well go to grad school now while I still have like the momentum. So then that's what I did. So before I even went to start applying, a lot of architecture programs required you to have like calculus and physics. So I went to Forest Park and I took those classes. Literally that year was probably one of the most difficult because I had to be somewhere every single day for like 4 or 5 months at 8:00 in the morning. So like I was going to school, taking those classes, and then I was working full time. And luckily at that time I was working at the Science Center. So when taking classes at Forest Park, I would just like get dropped, right, go to class and just walk down the street. And, my friends hated me because I never wanted to hang out because I was exhausted all the time.
Yeah, of course.
And, they didn't say anything, but, it always felt like I was just not around. So yeah, I was just, I like kind of disappeared from like social scenes. Like I really wasn't going to anybody's party. Dominique dominated all of that for the Lovings, which is fine.
No. Dominique ran it all. She took Adrian from you, And, Adrian listens to the podcast too. I know he's gonna be bugging up.
I'm sure he does. Hey, boo, like, we could have been something if you had wanted it. No, but back then, honestly, I don't even think I was in a position to even like legitimately entertain dating. Like
it was like a good idea in your mind, but not like a real application.
It sounds good, but honestly, like I feel so much more comfortable in who I am right now. Now I feel like I could probably pull any nigga. And it's like back then I probably felt that, but I was still kind of like high school dorky on top of it. So I really hadn't like
got the wing, that butterfly wing. You hadn't come out the cocoon all the way.
I thought I did, but in hindsight, when I see pictures of myself, I'm like, oh, girl. I see.
That's how I feel. That's how I feel. I look at people like, man, I was wearing hoodies. I look, no, and I was bad with it because I was trying to make this new style that never caught on. I was wearing sweatpants and blazers. I don't know if you remember I was doing this.
Oh, I do, because you had the big ass blazers.
It never caught on. I was like,
you had them big ass blazers. I do remember that.
And sweatpants. I was trying to get. I called it pole pimping. I was trying to.
But the thing is, honestly, now I don't know about for dudes, but for women, that's like a look. Like you get some joggers. That's what they call them now. It's not sweatpants. It's joggers.
Oh,
and
okay.
Put some pumps on and a blazer. That's a whole fit. So you were kind of before your time.
The wrong gender.
But then the wrong gender. Yeah,
I'm trying to bring out pajama pants. That's my next thing. It's since pandemic, I've been getting all kind of dope pajama pants. I mean, I got an array of colors. I got everything going. I go to the grocery store with my daughter. She'd be like, "You really gonna wear those? You really gonna wear those?" I was like, "Yeah, these are fly. I got the hoodie to go with it. The shoes match. Everything is." She's like, "Oh," Xander be like, "All right, I guess we go."
No, I went through a pajama pants phase, probably like, because that was a look, that was a college look,
Yeah.
like you get out of bed, you got your hoodie on, pajama pants, whatever. And I remember my mom telling me, and I used to wear these, I used to call them my daddy pants. So I had stolen a pair of sweatpants from my father. Now my dad is 6'6".
That's
At
where y'all
that
get your height
time,
from. That's where you need to get your height
yes,
from.
honestly, and he's not even the tallest. So I'll tell you that story. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Wow.
So I had these huge sweatpants where the crotch came down to like my mid thigh. And my mom was just like, okay, so this is why you won't have no man, because I know you walking around campus with your daddy pants. And I'm like, Mom, first of all, I don't have time today. Like, you want me to have a 4.0.
Which one you want? Me to have a man or a 4.0?
Right, which is more important to you? So if this is how I'm looking, this is how I'm looking. I don't really care. And again, like, I was only going to class. I'm the only Black person in my class. So like at that time, like I wasn't trying to impress anybody, because it's like there's nobody here to impress. Because not only am I the only Black woman, there are no Black men in my classes. So
not too many brothers doing interior design.
It's not. Now we did have some cute white dudes, but again, weren't checking for me. So
simple mathematics.
And again, right, like everybody, birds of a feather flock together, like theoretically you are going to be attracted to, people who you look like. It just makes sense. So, that just wasn't on my radar back then. But yeah, as far as my dad's height, so I have an uncle, a newly discovered uncle who is 6'10".
Whoa.
Yes.
Did they all play basketball? I'm assuming like
he actually did play basketball, but he was doing like the international league. So he was playing basketball in like Israel.
Oh,
so
he
has
played
like
overseas for a long time.
Mm-hmm. So he has like 2 daughters that are half Israeli, live over there. So I've never met them.
Oh wow.
I haven't met him. Haven't met him either. We recently discovered that we have like this whole other side of the family. But what's crazy is that they were literally like a half a degree away. You know how you have like 6 degrees of separation? Mm-hmm. They were like, 0.5 degrees separation this whole time. One of my new uncles, I call him New Uncle Joe, his best friend is my cousin's father. So like best friend, like they used to work at UPS together. She knew him and he would come out to LA to visit, everything, like ace boom coon. And then you come up and you're thinking, oh, that's my dad's best friend. Actually, it's your uncle. Like, and when did
they know they were know they were brothers?
No, they didn't know that they, like, and her father, like her mother is my aunt. Mm-hmm. So her father, is no blood relation, but they were best friends. And so they had no clue. And when you look at him, he looks just like my dad.
Wow.
It's crazy.
So is it they have different dads, I'm assuming, or?
They have different dads. They have different dads. And then, unfortunately, I never met my father's father. But when he sent a picture, he was like, like, this is your dad or your grandfather. He like recently passed away, looks just like my father.
So you're like, oh, no, that's your daddy, that's your pappy.
Like that's the face. And Dominique, she's always mad because like we have a cousin who she and I look a lot alike. And then she kind of looks like my dad. And she's like, I imagine you look like more like my dad than I do.
Oh, man, so how did you end up like getting like into like Arizona and going out there and doing the thing?
Honestly, I moved out here with my husband. So before we got married, he was working for Anheuser-Busch and took a job here. So I was still doing like my last semester in grad school.
At WashU.
WashU. So right after I graduated, I moved. And I mean, it was a whole whirlwind thing, like legit. moved out here. We had been dating for maybe a year. And I mean, like from the first date, not from like, okay, now we boyfriend and girlfriend, we exclusive, you know, how we have a label,
Yeah.
all of that stuff. I claim you, all of that foolishness that we do.
Mm-hmm.
This was like from like the first date, like first I pick you up when we go out, and then I moved in a year later and moved like across the country. So yeah.
I mean, that's not
It
that
was,
bad. I've heard people doing it in a month. So that's
I mean, and they do. And you know what? Honestly, like I was telling my friend, there's, like you said, there is no science to this. There
Yeah.
will be people who will meet and marry within like 2 to 3 months and be married forever. There are people who will date for 10 years, get married, and get divorced the next year. So it's not, there's no rules. We keep trying to make them, and they just don't exist. You just got to do you. Like, try to make the best decisions you can and keep it pushing, you know? So yeah, like originally we were only supposed to be out here for a year. That's how I got duped. So I'm thinking, okay.
That's a year. It ain't nothing. We can work on our
And he
relationship.
swears he did not say that. I'm like, I kid you not, you said that. This is why I know. Because in that October, Sade and John Legend had went on tour.
Yep.
I did not
I remember
buy
that.
tickets.
So this is 2010, 11?
Yes,
11.
2011.
Yep.
So
I went to
I
that tour.
Ugh, I was so pissed because I didn't buy tickets to that concert because he was like, we might move again. And so I didn't want the hassle of trying to like get rid of these tickets. So I'm like, that's how I know.
That we
You told me it was like for this short amount of time. But yeah, like literally I moved out here, didn't have a job, had a little bit of savings, probably sat around looking for a job for like a week, maybe 2, and was just like bored out of my mind. Because you have to think at that point, I was coming off of like degree projects, and I am a workaholic, and it's like good and bad because you don't know how to like balance the other part of life. But like anytime I would have a break, I would go to work. So like I had an internship. One of my friends, his parents are both architects, but his mother owned her own firm. And so she gave me my very first internship. So like every time I had a break, I went and worked with her, you know, like Christmas break, spring break, Thanksgiving, I'm gonna go work somewhere for like this couple of days and get some money and, you know, going back to school. So like having that like lull was really like fucking with me. And I remember my dad's friend, like his best friend, Adi, my African uncle, who is Nigerian, he's just like telling me, don't worry about it. He's like, this is probably the only time in your life where it's okay to not be working. Like, so enjoy it. You know what I mean? Like you have some savings, you know, you live with somebody, so you're not really worried about like the financial stress of things. So it's just like, sit down and enjoy it because you're never going to have this again in your life.
Yeah, like this enjoy the time.
Right. I did not listen. So I went and got just a job until I was fine, you know, I could find like the job. So I was like slanging shoes at some shoe store, like literally like that day. I don't know what it is.
You were Ted Bundy? Not Ted Bundy, Al Bundy. With the shoe salesman.
But the thing is, honestly, like I always kind of look up in these situations where things kind of work out for me. I, you know, don't know what it is, you know, obviously, you know, blessed. And I'm like so grateful for that. But legit, like anytime I've gotten a job, it's always been kind of like this serendipitous type of thing. And so like I went in because this place they had a sign up saying that they were hiring. And they were like, we literally just put the sign up. Like before you walked in here, we just put the sign up. So they didn't even interview anybody else. So I had a little bit, right. So I had worked at a shoe store. I worked at Baker's with Dominique, honestly, when I was in grad school. I did have to sell shoes though, lucky for me. I was like in the stock room. So it worked out. So I didn't have to be all cute, one of those Baker's girls. Like I could come in, look in a mess from class, and then work a couple of hours and go right back. So they hired me on the spot. And then I worked there it was about 6 months before I got my first interior design job. So, and I just got a phone call from this lady, and it was the craziest phone call because that day I had an interview at another firm. And then she calls me and she's like, "Hi, Jenelle, I got your name from like the AIA website because I like posted my resume." And she's just like, "I really, really love your name." I was like, "Oh, thank
What?
you."
That's real. That's some ill
Because
stuff.
she like, "I just really like your name." And she was like, "Now I see you went to WashU. Is that in New York?" "Ma'am, nowhere near it, but okay." And she was like, "Well, we would love for you to come in and interview." I was like, "Okay." And I'm telling my husband, like, I just got like this really weird phone call.
And she asked if WashU was in New York. Like, is this a setup? Like, is this a setup? Like, you don't know
Right,
where WashU is? Like,
right. So the very next day, show up. She hires me on the spot. And she literally tells me, like, "I honestly am hiring you because I just really like your name and you have a master's." I was like, "Okay."
you felt like a white person then. Is that must be how white people get to feel?
I
I
guess that's
just
how they
like
get
your
to
name,
feel.
and you had a map. Oh, okay.
That worked. I got a check out of it. And, it was a high-end residential interior design firm. I learned a lot because, again, so she never went to school. So this is the epitome of whiteness when you don't even have, you barely have a high school diploma, and yet you're running a whole business. So the American dream.
So hold on. So
But
basically, you solidified, like, gave her the solidification because you had the degrees of like, your interior design has a master's. Oh, okay,
right,
well, we can work with your company.
exactly. Right. I mean, she could barely even draw. So I would literally be like interpreting like these little hand sketches and making them into real drawings. So I will put them in CAD, and, like I was doing the renderings. I
So
was
hold on.
doing
So
the
did she
line.
just? How did she get this company in the first? If she can't even.
The story she told was that she was a fashion designer and she moved out here and somebody asked her what she was doing and she just made it up on the fly. And somebody was like, "Oh, okay, well, I like your clothes, so I'm sure you can like design my house." That's how they do.
Man, it is good to be white, boy. Woo, it is good to be white. Oh
Yes.
man, it's amazing.
So, meanwhile, I have all of these credentials and here I am working for you. But that's,
So
I
she
will
made a
say
whole. So
I
she has
learned,
a full company at this
she
point
had a
when
full
you start
company.
working for her.
Yeah, for sure. So, and it was only it was very small. It was me and one other girl as a designer, and then she had like her assistant. Eventually, it was just like she and I. So I was doing like everything. Like I was doing the website. We had a newsletter. I was putting out the newsletter.
Oh, so
Anything
you're
that
doing operations work too.
I'm doing all of it. Like at one point I was doing the social media, she had a blog that she would do and I would like do that. So on top of doing like interior design work, like we fronted like it was this huge company when it was really like 3 people.
Damn.
Yeah. It was insane, but I learned a lot. And then I think my mind, I did not realize that certain things existed. So one of the first projects that we worked on was the owner or the CFO of PF Chains.
Oh wow, and he lives in Phoenix, obviously.
Yeah, he lives in Scottsdale. When I tell you we did a couch for him, it was $45,000
For the couch.
for a sofa.
I like how, I mean, is this like the couch that goes like through a whole room, or is this like a regular
No.
3 seat couch?
I mean, it probably could seat 4 or 5 people.
So it's not even a sectional.
It's a sectional. It's a sectional.
Okay.
It's a sectional, but it was, yeah. I mean, when you get into like the fabrics, it's custom made and silk pillows and things like that. Yeah. And that's not even the most expensive thing that we would procure for somebody. One of our clients, we had one in New York, had a coffee table their coffee table was $140,000.
Did this coffee table like charge your phone? Did it like do some
Nope.
stuff like that? Because then my kid tables do that. You can put your,
It
just lay your
was,
phone on it and it charge. I love that. That's
and it wasn't even dope. You know what I mean? It was from some artist that he was a huge art collector. I mean, he had like a Richter painting, and I think it was like $5 million. Like, I mean, like real money.
so. And
And
that's
I
kind of
just
like
didn't
how
think
these
those
NFTs are going to end up being. Have you heard of NFTs?
No, what is that?
So, oh man, so this is the new thing of buying digital things.
Okay.
So we could take a picture of us doing this podcast now and sell it as like, even though somebody could copy it literally off the website after it goes up, but it's the digital idea that I took it and I took a picture of it. Like, for instance, there's a LeBron James like video that you can get on YouTube, and it's one that it is sold for $800,000, a video of LeBron James dunking. But they're called digital.
What?
They're digital like cars, digital things you can like trade or sell off. Like, so like if Nas is in the studio and he's recording something and it takes a picture of him in the booth, that could be sold for $20,000. The digital version. This ain't a printed version. That's the him taking it and they're selling it through like Bitcoin and stuff like that. Like, it's some crazy stuff. Yeah. So like people, if you have a name for yourself, you can take a picture you doing something like, yo, Jay-Z just walking down the street wearing my S. Carters. He could probably he might be able to sell it for 10 grand, 15 grand, maybe more.
Interesting.
Because
so it's kind of like how like paparazzis take shots and then they sell it to whatever.
Yeah, but this is,
you know what? It's so, this is what I'm talking about. Like, I was telling somebody else, there is so much money to be made out there. You just got to figure out how you can get it. And, we be so busy, trying to, it is not even about like doing some like new and inventive thing. Like, just because somebody else is doing it don't mean that you can't do it. And you can also be successful and you can also make a ton of money doing it. And we just have to be willing to kind of like just think outside the box just a little bit. Because again, like most people, you're not gonna get rich working for somebody else.
No.
So you gotta figure out a way to like make it on your own and then start selling it. Because why not? Why not?
Yeah.
It's like,
especially the opportunity now is so much plentiful. There's no,
and we've been
barriers of entry is so much lower.
Yeah, for sure. Especially now. But we've been so conditioned, of just like one way. And again, with Black people, it's riskier because you don't have, that fallback. You don't have like, that cushion to kind of like give you the opportunity to be able to take those risks, like even for instance, like getting an internship, a lot of people, they can maybe afford to get like, especially like in New York, when they're doing like a huge magazine, those girls, they come from money. So they can get these unpaid internships, look the part, and then get, these doors open up to them where they can move through, whereas somebody else would not have that opportunity. It's like, I can't afford to take an unpaid internship because I gotta eat. And I don't have anybody paying my, like my bills. And not to say that that's everybody's experience, but that is, like a huge barrier when it comes to be able to like take those more calculated risks in order to like push you to the next level. And so, I don't know, we just gotta be able to think about like, how can we rethink how we are moving through spaces? And a lot of the things that we don't do is because of fear. It's not that you're any less talented than the next person. It's just a matter of saying, like, let me do this. Like, even when I started to do my own interior design firm, which honestly was bred out of the pandemic. So I started a new IG. So I had like just purely dedicated to interior design. So it's a Black girl in West Elm. I love West Elm. I love, like their aesthetic. I love like the price point. Like
So explain West Elm for people that may not know. Explain what a West Elm is.
So West Elm is a furniture store.
Mhm.
So there's one in the gallery. If you know, a St. Louis listener, they got one in the galley apparently, but it's just a furniture store. So, but they do more like mid-century modern aesthetic, but they have like a little bit of glam to them. And I love the price point. So it's not like IKEA cheap. It's not. But you could get pieces that you will have forever. Unlike IKEA, where I
It's
don't
a patchwork
recommend.
situation.
Right. Like they have, don't get me wrong, like IKEA has certain things that definitely work. But to me, if you got to sit on it, don't get it from there.
Yeah.
Because it's fine if you're maybe in the dorm or whatever. But when you got a real house with real furniture, I wouldn't recommend it. But they have stuff that's, like it's affordable. Even if you have to save a little bit, it's not like Restoration Hardware, because Restoration will have like a $5 or $6 or $12,000 sofa. It's not that, but you can get like some great pieces that you will have forever. So, like I kind of built this social media, like my IG, kind of around that. And then it just kind of like exploded. It was around the time where we were doing like a lot of Black Lives Matter, a lot of trying to get Black people just a lot more visibility. So you remember when they had the whole like share the mic campaign?
Mm-hmm.
So they did one, this girl did one, and it was like the home edition. And when I tell you, like her IG like blew up overnight because she just basically piggybacked. This is what I'm talking about. Like it's so much shit. Like you can just kind of co-sign somebody else's stuff, make it like legit. She went from having like 2,000 followers in a week. She had 12,000. All because she just took, and now she has like, she gets like sponsorships. She's like on the board for a home decor magazine. Like she's gotten all of this notoriety and visibility all because she started this thing that had already been started. And she just threw home edition on it. And I'm not trying to, like discredit her.
No,
No,
it was ingenious to do that. Like
it was. That's what I mean. Like it's enough for everybody. And so she asked me, she had reached out to certain people and she had asked me to be a part of it. Again, I really didn't talk to her. I didn't know her. And she just kind of like sent me an email because she saw that I had like a few people on there. And I was like, sure, like, why not? And I just threw some stuff together. And it seemed like from that moment, that page just really kind of took off. And then from there, like one of my friends, the same guy whose mother gave me my internship, he calls me and he's just like, Jenelle, you have 3,000 followers, but still no design business. And I was like, you know what? You're right.
Get started. Yep.
You're right. And I had already had like my LLC from like a couple of years ago.
Oh, dang, you got your LLC instead of spending on your the ribs or whatever whatever jokes about people not getting an LLC and again, on the crab legs. My bad, the crab legs.
First of all, when they be saying that shit, LLCs be $65.
I know.
Like,
and you gotta. There's a whole bunch more behind that you got to do that people don't even notice besides registering.
They don't, and that I had to learn.
Like getting a bank account, getting all this stuff, because your LLC is not technically certified till you have that bank account.
You can't do nothing with an LLC, low key. Like that's like step one. Legit, it
like,
is step one.
Is low key, and it's very base level first step.
Yeah, that's like step one. So like I legit took 2 weeks. I took my LLC. You had to get the business license. You had to get an EIN number. Apparently the IRS, and again, a lot of this stuff, you could do it. It's all Google searches that I just did. You go to your state website and you apply for like, I can't remember which one I did first, which one you had to do first. So it was a lot of like trial and error, figuring out like what I'm supposed to do. And I just sat there, a weekend and just threw it together. So EIN, that took a little bit longer because apparently the IRS website closes. It's like not open on the weekend.
I know.
Did not know that. So, like when you're trying to do like
shit people don't know about with the IRS.
You know, but that's the thing. It's like, who knew the internet closed? Like y'all can't I can't fill out this form. But that's the thing when you're trying to do like, you have your main job, but you're trying to get this side hustle to be your main job. So you're doing it on the weekends, you're doing it in the evening, but then the shit that you need to get done is because it's closed. So now you gotta like, okay, well, let me get up a little bit early or on my
Let me
lunch
take
break.
that
So I
lunch
can
break, or
like,
during my lunch break, let me go on
exactly.
over
You
here.
got to get creative. So I got all of those things because even building the website, I was like, I know how to build a website because I've done it. Obviously, using like Squarespace, little plug, maybe they'll give you a little sponsorship.
I'm
But
working
even
on a
with
couple of
that,
different ones. I'm trying to get a draws line
oh, okay,
of just underwear. Shout out to Me
okay.
Undies. I'm trying to highlight Me Undies. It's a real
Well, I
place
got a
too.
whole story. I could do a little quote for you too for that one. But yeah, so I like set it up and then I just knew, like we get so in our head about things and it's like, you got to make it perfect. And I just had to let that go. I was like, this is something I'm like, I would rather just get it out there as I go. If I need to change something or update something, I can always do that because it's never going to be perfect. But if I don't put it out there, then you aren't out there.
And you end up
So
bullshitting yourself into doing it. So when you don't end up doing it, you're like, oh, this should
it's
just be
always
done.
an excuse. It's
Mhm.
always an excuse of, like, oh, I could be doing this, I could be doing that, or well, I can't do this until I get this. So it's like, no, just do it. So I threw it all together. And again, like I'm trying to set up like the pay stuff. Again, you can't even do that. You have to have a business license in order to do it. And I was trying to be like as professional as possible because one thing I wanted to do was make sure I had all the stuff set up on the front end. So I wouldn't have to worry about shit on the back end,
Yeah,
trying to
yeah.
like figure it out later. So I set it all up, threw it up there, literally maybe a week after I launched it, I got my first client. So it was just,
And what are they? Were they local or are they national or?
I think my first client, she was in Memphis.
Wow.
Yes.
And you designed everything for her from there and like
So hers, what she did, I have different packages. So how it works, I kind of sell like these, I do like the virtual online, but I do like the spaces per room. So, and then you have some people who are like, I can do it by myself. I just need to know what to do. So for her, she just kind of needed a game plan. Like I didn't have to pick out furniture for her or anything like that. I just had to give her like the look of like, this is what you should do. And she did it all. Then she referred me to her sister. Then
yeah.
I did her sisters. So it's just been really great. I had a lady in Seattle, I did her bedroom, and these aren't all Black people. I had a couple of white women reach out to me too. And I really do make a point, like, again, my IG is a Black girl in West Elm. So it was, like I'm specifically catering to a certain demographic. I'm like, I'm not discriminating against anybody, but I am like very focused on like the Black aesthetic, the Black experience, and really just like creating this space because shit, we design too.
Yeah.
So, and I've had all sorts of people. I've made friends. I got a girl that I still talk to very regularly in Houston, like it's been really, really great. And probably the biggest one virtually that I'm working on right now, it's a lady in Shaker Heights, Ohio. I don't know if you watched.
You said what now? What is that? Sounds familiar. Shaker Heights sounds familiar.
Yes. So did you watch Little Fires Everywhere?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I know the concept. I know
Okay.
That's the one with Kerry Washington in it, right?
Yes. So the city in which that is set, that's where her house is.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So she got Black lady. I don't know what she does. Bought this house. It was about $500,000. It's like gutting it. I'm doing the whole house. So I'm working in conjunction with her designer that is doing like certain areas, but then they were kind of having, like some creative differences. So that I'm playing like a consultant on those other areas, like, and like helping push the project forward.
So you're like the middleman now.
Yeah. Yeah.
You got that's the money is to be the middleman. To figure out a way to get money being the middleman is always
right. But that's the thing too, a lot of it, and I was explaining to her, she was having a hard time, like her designer, very nice lady, but it's this white lady and it's this Black woman. And not to say that design has a race, so to speak, but we do have a certain cultural connection that because they don't have it, they weren't having like a meeting of the minds.
Right.
So it was like she needed assistance in kind of like having her own voice with her. And so I was kind of like that middleman. And even
'Cause
that designer, she was having
you could speak her design talk and then vice versa on the other side.
exactly. So it was almost like I was like her like representative, like I was her advocate, so she was getting, she was making sure she was getting what she wanted. And at the same time, her designer was feeling secure that, okay, well, you do have somebody who can like vouch for this. And I can feel, secure in knowing that you're going to be satisfied, because like she's quarantining in Joburg. So like, I'm like, it's a whole huge thing.
So she's somewhere totally different?
Somewhere totally different. She like,
so she's in Johannesburg, South Africa?
Yes.
And the house is being built in Shaker Heights.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, so this is all over. Oh, wow. This is welcome to 2021, man. Like for real.
And I mean, and it's working. That's the thing.
Yeah.
And if you have somebody who's like local and on the ground, and it doesn't necessarily have to be like another interior designer. A lot of general contractors can facilitate those things also, but it can be done. Like nothing is impossible. Like the fact that we are doing this, like she'll text me, I'll get a text from her like 6:00 in the morning, obviously, because it's a huge time difference. But then she's also, so for her, this maybe like the middle of the day or like maybe like 8:00. I don't really know what the difference is, but but it's working. So
that's dope. Wow.
It was honestly like last year, and I hate to say this because I do want to acknowledge that the pandemic has really shaken a lot of people career-wise, financially, aside from just like health and just life in general. But honestly, like for me, it was probably, what I needed to kind of like move on to the next level in my career.
That's how I feel about the podcast network. Same thing. I was like, man, I'm sitting at the crib, let's go ahead and pick this up and do it for real and, and really build this out.
Yeah. And, and it all kind of just like came to a head. I had a client. So at the first firm that I worked for, the one with the $45,000 sofa, we did a lady's house, 24,000 square feet, ballroom in the basement, huge. She is now downsizing. This house is, I think, either 15,000 square feet in total.
And she's downsizing.
But she called me directly, like she was like, I really trust that you are capable of doing this. And she's just a really cool lady. Like she's super, super nice, really easy to work with. I've always, like we did her huge house. So we had worked with her for years, and she has her own like general contracting license. So a lot of stuff that she'll do on her own, but like I'll like pick it out and we just work together and we work really, really well. And she's very much like, Jenelle, like I know a lot of people here, and this is like, it's a lot of money. And this is probably like the 20th house that she's like built.
Wow.
Yeah. Insane.
So what's the craziest thing somebody to ask you to do? Like, yo, like, man, I want me to get like some leopard. I want leopard on this wall right here. And I want the little beads when I walk into my bedroom, but I want it to be like crystal. I want it to be not beads though. I want it to be platinum.
Right. Honestly,
with some like super crazy and gaudy, I'm like, were you like, yo,
yeah,
are you serious?
I haven't experienced any gaudy clients.
Okay.
So, which I'm very, very happy about, because like while we are supposed to, as designers, you're supposed to be able to do all types of designs, it's just certain shit you just don't.
So you were a Scarface emblem, like right, like in the middle of my bedroom, and I just need that for all the ladies that walk around and they know I'm, Scarface.
I mean, if that's what you want, I might not photograph it. I might not, like I tell this to everybody. Design is like, we always want to make it seem like
that probably make you sound like people that make jewelry for like people where you like, I'm not putting
like,
gaudy ass SKD chain you made that you want to have made.
Right. Like if that's what you want, sure. But the thing is too, it's just like we're a service-based industry, and the client is like, they're in control. So if this is what you want, you know, I can try to like, you know, sway you. And honestly, the craziest thing that somebody has asked is honestly my mother. She is currently renovating a house in St. Louis. She is putting in an elevator. Yes, an elevator in her house. Because the thing is, she doesn't, you know, like she doesn't like a wrenched out house. She doesn't like what that looks like from the outside. So she has to have a 2-story house. But
She don't want to walk up the steps.
she don't want to walk up the steps. So she's like, okay, so, you know, I'm like, because you need something where you can have everything on the first floor. Because even now in our house, she rarely goes upstairs. Like she'll go upstairs to like shower, but that's it. Like, so now, and then she has like, it's 3 stories actually, because it's like the attic space that's actually livable, and then like the basement. So she has this elevator that's going in. She's doing an indoor swim spa.
Where is this at in St. Louis?
In the hood. On the west side. And she just, you know, that's the crazy. And so it's like she's like, you know, I just woke up and I just envision myself as I get up and I have to be on the right. It just feels like it's something pulling me to the right. I'm like, that's because we as Americans have been conditioned to like walk on the right side, drive on the right side. So like, that's why you feel like it's natural for you to lean that way. But
wow, that's
she
interesting.
won't.
I mean, that makes sense. I never thought of it like that.
I'm putting it in a universe. You know, I know they're talking about this whole like G's, you know, moving in silence. I'm trying to speak mine into existence.
No, that's real.
So there's supposed to be like this huge project happening on like Delmar and Kings Highway where they're proposing to do like some retail space and I think like some apartment complexes or condos, like take that whole, you know, like where the vault is.
Yeah.
That area.
Yeah,
so
there's a whole bunch of open space over there too. If you go a little bit farther east on Delmar as well.
So he's trying to go from like, right. So he's trying to go from Euclid to Kings Highway, like take it all the way down.
Okay, so he's going more west then. He's gonna go more west. So you remember where Rozell's used to be over there? So he's trying to get that whole area there with that strip mall area with the Taco Bell there. Probably that space. Maybe I guess he's gonna take the Aldis and the White Castles out, or just.
Well, the thing is, I think how they sit on the lot is just like parking lot area. So I think there's like a narrow strip where you don't even have to do that, where they can stay.
That's popular.
But at the same time, it's like, does the neighborhood need another White Castle? You know,
there's one right up the street too. Isn't it one on?
They closed that one.
Oh, MLK and Kings Highway.
Yeah.
Okay.
They closed that
so we
one.
need that one. We need that one over there then.
But the thing is, you know, I really want to be a part of that project because one, for me, like that's my neighborhood. So like that.
You know the idea and the psyche of it.
I know that. You know, I went to Euclid Montessori growing up, so that's like down the street.
And the old Metro used to be around the corner too.
Oh, did it?
Yeah, I'm a little bit. So I was gonna go to Metro before I end up going to SLU, and my first year would have been at the Metro, the old Metro off of Washington and Kings Highway.
Gotcha.
All those Montessori buildings that over there, that's where Metro. Yeah. The old Metro was.
Okay.
So my freshman year would have been there.
They had an old building, but
the new one didn't open until it would have been my sophomore year. So the new Metro. My sophomore year.
Gotcha. But yeah, like my father used to have his printing business. Like I told you, he did like graphic design, but he was like in the printing business. He had his office right there on that corner of Euclid and Delmar. That's where I had my first job. So I used to make copies for him. And, you know, like I'm in middle school, you know, I'm like in 6th grade. And I feel like that's like where my work ethic kind of came from, because I've been working all my life. And so to kind of do like that full circle, you remember when they had the go-kart tracks at that Schnucks, where it used to be Schnucks on.
I forgot all about that. Yes.
Yeah. So that was my uncle. Those were his go-karts.
Oh, snap. I forgot all about them go-karts.
Yeah. That was before, you know, like the Aldi came and that lot was just empty. So he set up shop there.
Dang, yeah, because I don't remember older heads used to go to Club Mercedes. That was right next to that. That was Club Mercedes. where the bank
Yeah.
was. And then it was the
Oh,
vault,
yeah.
where the vault is right next to it. But that was
Okay.
Club Mercedes that took over that bank.
Gotcha. So yeah, I just have like a lot of history like on that block, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So to then be a part of something that is gonna like turn that block around and like really be a part of the community, like I I would just think it would just be a really great opportunity to be able to like tell that story and just have like this full circle moment.
Have you applied
So
for it?
yeah, I have interviewed like honestly like the dude, and this is where nepotism comes in. This is,
This is some of the things
yeah,
of being white, but we can benefit a little bit as a black person with this
but
one.
that's the thing, we got to help each other out,
Yeah, that's real.
and we really, and I'm all about that, like even with, my IG, I've had several young Black women who are interested in design reach out to me and, ask me questions. It's like, why not tell them? Why not help them? Like, and I'm not saying that there is validity in, like figuring it out on your own. But at the same time, you don't have to figure out every single thing. Like I can tell you exactly step by step with the LLC, the EIN, all of those things because I already did it. And like I wish I was smart enough to ask somebody else, and I wasn't.
You should have known that you couldn't do it on the weekends.
But I told, you know what I mean? And you
Yeah.
really start to develop these relationships because again, just because I help you get, your business off the ground or at least like push you in the right direction, it's not going to stop somebody from coming to me and asking me for, help or assistance. So again, that's just like saying, oh, well, I'm not going to write a book because somebody else wrote a book. That don't even make any sense. So I'm just like, why can't we just be this community and help each other out? That's how they get ahead. So why
And you
not
know
do
what's
the
funny?
same?
You said that I was listening to somebody say that not asking for help is not letting someone have the opportunity for their own grace. Like you're
Right.
like that person wants to give and help somebody else go forward. You're not giving them the opportunity to be able to do that by not asking
Right.
for help. I was like, wow, that's an ill way to look at it. Of like you're
It
not helping somebody
is.
else get their like give their blessing to someone else to get their self
Mhm.
forward by not even asking for help from that person. And I was like, wow, that's pretty
And it's
interesting.
a hard lesson to learn,
Yeah.
especially, when you are so used to doing everything by yourself, coming to terms with the fact that you need help, like being able to say that is difficult. So I really commend these girls for even like reaching out just to get a little bit of advice. And then, it works both ways. So you put that energy out there and it comes back. Like one of the girls that I've helped a lot, she hooked me up with a lot of like apartment therapy. Like she put me in connection with this other interior design like site. And so I've done a lot of features with them purely off the fact that she, like made that introduction for me. And had I not helped her, who knows what had happened. And it wasn't even like, oh, well, let me help her so she can help me. I didn't even know that was going to happen.
Right.
I was moving solely on, I'm a Black woman, you're a Black woman. Let's help you. If I can help you, great. So we just have to start really thinking more on a community basis. We will get a lot further if we did that. So yeah, luckily my dad, he has such a huge network and he's, maintained a lot of those relationships.
Mhm.
So the guy who was like spearheading this, like he's like, oh girl, I remember you. I haven't seen you since you were 9. I'm like, I don't remember seeing you at all, and it's okay. But like off the strength that we have a similar goal as far as giving back to the community. And, I know I don't live in St. Louis, but all my family is there.
Yeah, and it'd be a dope
I have
opportunity for you to come back working some kind of contract and doing that, or be able to pop
right.
back and forth and figure out what you got to do with it.
And what's so frustrating is that so many people complain about it, about the city and all of these things, but all of the people who have like the knowledge or the want or the will or the talent, whatever it is, we up and leave.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then we wonder why the city isn't like advancing, at least for, like the Black community. White people, they live in a whole different St. Louis.
Exactly.
It's different from ours.
And be like, man, I love St. Louis. Like white people come here and
I
love
didn't even know existed until I went to WashU. And it will be places that they will go. And I'm like, This been here the whole time.
And you done drove by 50 times. You'd be like, so hold on, that was a spot and y'all kick it there? Did not know that.
Did not know. Like, drive by it all the time. You know, this is 7 minutes from my house, and I didn't know it existed. So, you know, they just live in a whole different area and have a whole different experience. But if we want to improve our experience, like, we have to be involved in that. It's not just going to happen overnight. And if all the people who have like the drive to do it leave, how is it going to get done? So I want to be a part of making our St. Louis, you know, desirable for us, and that we are developing our neighborhoods so we can benefit from it, you know. So that's the goal. That's the end goal for now, for the next couple years.
All right, we're at the hardest part of the interview. This or that, the section of where you only can have two choices. You have to choose between two of them. All right. Some of them are St. Louis specific only. So just beware ahead of time. That's, you know. So first one, Club 7 or XO?
I'm gonna say XO. Mainly because I've never been to Club 7.
You never went to Club 7?
No.
Oh man. That was
somebody told me my black card and my St. Louis card is getting revoked. So
your sister, I think she said she went to Club 7.
She probably did. Look, Dominique was going a lot of places.
She wasn't supposed to be at either. I was like, yo, Dominique, when she turned 21, I was like, yo, I thought you was 21 already.
So Dominique used to have like my cousin's ID. Then I think I had like a non-driver's like license, like ID. And so when I got my license, I gave it to her.
Oh.
So yeah, you know.
She just
and people
rolled
don't
that
be
out
looking.
there.
People don't look.
No. So I was like, I didn't even know you was turning 21. You've been in this bars for 2 or 3 years. How did you just turn 21?
But no, I did enjoy me some XO though. So I'm gonna say XO.
We didn't respect that club as much as we should have.
We did not. The thing was, I feel like XO was really for like our age now. We was in there too young. You know what I mean? Like we were too young to kind of like get the vibe, you know.
It was way too ahead of us.
It was, but we were there, and
all right,
we shut it down.
Sons. Oh, hold on, let me go my notes here. Hold on.
Okay.
Because I changed it because I know you might listen to your sister's podcast, so I had to change it. So London and Sons or Lisa's Chop Suey. You never had Lisa's?
No.
Oh, and oh man, or what's your favorite Chop Suey place? Then
I go to Hans Wok over there on Lindo and Sarah.
Oh no, they're straight though. They're straight. They're low key.
That's where we
they're
go.
Low key straight. They're like people may not know about that. That they wouldn't think it would be over there. That's a good answer. That's a good answer.
That's where we go. So especially by being at Metro, we had open campus, so
right.
you could go
right over there. Right.
So and them same men still work there. Every time I go back, my friend, she lives on like the South Side.
Mm-hmm.
She drives all the way over there for Chinese food.
So is the same dudes over there selling them DVDs and CDs over there too? I remember that was like
that part I don't know.
Because that same dude was there for a long time selling them CDs and DVDs.
That part I don't know. But the guys who work the counter,
where you just flip through it, you be like, tell you what you want, and you be like, okay. So you want that Bad Boys too? All right, I got that.
Yeah.
All the movies.
So no,
the Bad Boys ain't in theaters yet. How you got it? Like, don't worry about it, brother.
Don't worry about it. But we got it. So yeah, I would have to go with the Hans Wok.
All right. Next up, this one is gonna be nice and hard. Fresh Prince or Martin?
I'm going to say Fresh Prince. This is why. So I've had this conversation a lot. Not so much the Fresh Prince versus Martin, but just Martin in general.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I never like memorized Martin like that. Like I saw the episodes of Martin when they came on. I know the highlights. But I can't do all the quotables.
Oh man.
And then, you know, like they had Fresh Prince on syndications. Like we didn't have cable. So like the syndication of Martin or like Fresh Prince, I had more access to those episodes than I had Martin episodes.
Okay.
So, you know.
Like I said, Fresh Prince is a better overall sitcom. but
Yeah,
Martin has more moments that are just ridiculously funny.
they do. They do.
More than that.
You know, they got more characters.
Yeah.
So don't get me wrong, Martin is funny as fuck. Like, I'm down with all of that. But if I had to choose, it's gonna be Fresh Prince.
All right. Nas or Jay-Z?
I'm going to say Jay-Z.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Anita Baker or Sade?
Ooh. Ugh.
The battle of the Sunday
Sade.
house cleaning music.
I'm gonna say Sade.
Okay.
I'm gonna just say Sade. I feel like this is just so hard.
That's the point.
That one stumped me. That one, I'm not gonna lie, stumped me.
All right,
So,
this is a triple threat match.
Yeah, I'm gonna say
Juice.
Hmm?
This is a triple threat match. Juice, New Jack City, or Boys in the Hood?
I'm gonna say Boys in the Hood.
Okay. Okay.
I'm gonna say Boys in the Hood. And let me tell you about Juice.
Okay.
I ain't never seen Juice, but we owned it. We had it on VHS, and my mother would not let us watch it. It stayed in the wrapper for the longest time. Like, my mom has so many, like, she has like a library of VHSs. I don't know what.
Why did she
about to
never
do
let
with
you
them.
watch it?
Oh, because, like, it was just, it was rated R. My mom was very, like, conservative. So, like,
Okay.
I remember us starting to watch CB4 as a family. And you know how it first started, she cut that shit right out. She was like, no, this is not it.
She thought it
And
was
I
gonna be like a little small little fun comedy with Chris Rock, the
don't know
guy
what she thought it was gonna
from
be.
Saturday Night Live. Like, he's nice. Like,
I don't know what she thought it was gonna be, but she was like, oh no. Like, that was a no. So I just never really watched it, like, after that. So it's a few hood classics that I need to get up on, and that is one of them. But for sure, Boys in the Hood.
This is a great movie, man. Tupac killed.
Is it streamable?
Yeah, streamable.
What is it on?
Let me tell you right now. I believe it was. I know it was on Netflix a little while ago.
Okay.
But they moved their schedule stuff around. So
Yeah, they always do that. But no, I'm gonna definitely watch it. But that's the thing. I mean, we got it on VHS at my mama's house. But
Amazon Prime right now.
okay, I got Prime.
Yeah, it's on Prime right now. So
okay, cool.
It's good, man.
I'll make it happen.
Then there's a hood app that it may be on too called Tubi. Have you ever heard Tubi?
No.
It's the look. I know Amazon in general has been the hood like layer like for like hood classics, and you seen like the little hood like.
And Amazon Prime low key got all these like their best Black movies.
No, Tubi's got that beat.
Okay.
It's Tubi. Tubi is an app. You can just go to the website or you can download the app on your phone. It is, and I love hood movies. I love the more crackheads is in it, the better. Anytime that if Clifton Powell is in it, I'm watching it. Number one.
Oh yeah,
I'm watching anything Clifton Powell is in. Period.
But it's the market for it.
CD or vinyl?
Ooh, I'm gonna say vinyl. So I don't have a lot of vinyls. I do have a record player. I like kind of like the grittiness of it, kind of like the old school kind of sound. And I mean, don't get me wrong, I only have like 2 albums that I own. Like, my husband has a lot that he got from like his mother, but the 2 that I bought are like Beyonce and Solange. But I hope to get, like, my mother has a ton of vinyls. I mean, like, Off the Wall on vinyl, like when it first came out, like stuff like that. So I'm hoping at some point I will acquire a huge vinyl catalog. But yeah, definitely vinyl. I mean, CDs, I might as well just stream at this point if it's a CD.
I won't even stream. I don't even stream.
No?
I'm getting that old. I download the MP3 still and just put it on my iPod. I still have an iPod.
Okay. Because
I'm that old guy. I realized, like, literally, I'm like plugging it. Like, it take like people say like I'm gonna get jacked once because I'm plugging in all kind of devices into my car when I'm getting in it. Like, I gotta get my iPod in. I gotta put my phone in. Gotta put the tablet in there. Like, no, I need my iPod. No, you can't charge, man. I gotta put my iPod in. That's
don't get me wrong. It is definitely interesting how like the world is digitizing, and how I remember one of my friends in grad school, he did this interesting project. I forgot what we were supposed to be designing, but he was just talking about how like how things are all in this digital space and how you don't need a physical space anymore. Cause like you don't need to house all of the items because everything is like streamable, downloadable to like this one device. So it's like, how do we like rethink about space in relation to the digital world? So like just thinking about like the fact that you get a new car, they don't even come with CD players anymore. Laptops don't come with CD players anymore. You know, like so at some point, you're not gonna be able to stick in that little auxiliary cord.
See, that's the problem, man. And, you know, and that's my thing is that I don't trust the streaming services. They don't have all the music I want because I had the Leah tracks for a long time. I can listen to my Leah whenever I want to. Y'all streaming people can't. And I'm just scared that one day, what if Spotify shuts down? And I didn't invested all my time and energy into that. And also bootleg for a long time in college. I own like 20,000 MP3s from like the Napster days on Forward.
Yes.
So I don't want to give that up. So that's why these are.
So,
all right, this is the last question. This is the hardest one.
Oh, well, you said the last one's hard.
Or Martin Luther King.
I'm gonna say Barack.
Before my previous way I had it set up was Barack Obama, Martin Luther King, and Jesus Christ. But I was like, let me take out Jesus. It ain't even, you know.
I'm gonna say Barack, and I mean, as we know, like without Martin, we would not have Barack. But as far as, well, one, you have so much, you know, again, with like social media and just like technology now, you have so much more connectivity with people. So like with Barack feels like somebody, he doesn't feel like this other, like he doesn't feel untouchable. You know what I mean? Like, okay, like we weren't alive when Martin Luther King was alive. So that's the one thing, you know, and it feels like, you know, we've kind of idolized him in a way where you kind of like stripped him from like humanity, so to speak.
100%.
So it's like when he has, you know, at the end of the day, he's a man. So it's like when he does like did like problematic shit, which we know that he did that shit, it feels blasphemous to say that because you feel like, well, he did XYZ or whatever, so they don't have nothing to do with whatever. It is like you don't allow him to be a human being. Whereas with Barack, one, he don't, to my knowledge, he doesn't have any type of like problematic type of rhetoric attached to his name as far as like socially, like you might not agree with his politics or shit like that, but
he ain't got caught with no side chicks. He ain't got caught.
Right. He don't have, you know, he don't have anything. He seems like, you know, just down to earth dude. Like he has like this new podcast that's out right now with him and like Bruce Springsteen.
Yeah, that was the like, weirdest pairing, but it seems
it was so like what?
But it seems dope.
That? But you know what I mean? So he just feels so like relatable, you know, like he just, so I'm gonna say Barack.
Okay. I mean, like I was talking about Martin Luther King the other day. I was like, he was the Drake of his time, you know, like, you know, you got to think. And I was like, think about all the bum ass people in your crew. Like think about like whatever like Drake's lackeys were. That's what Jesse Jackson was. You know what I'm saying? Like, and think about Jesse's probably like, you know, I came up with that idea for the March on Washington.
Right.
Even though I was Bayard Rustin, you know, and it was already something. And I was thinking about it even deeper on some funnier shit with Martin. Think about the dude that do live in, like, let's see, you live in Alabama and you walked at the march with him. You got one picture with him, but that's your best friend. You didn't tell that you got it up at your office. Like, yeah. So
hello.
You know, me and Martin are super cool. Really? And then
that's your claim to fame, and you ain't that shit. You only did that one march.
Martin was turning around when he said, "Hey, turn around for this picture," and you happen to be there holding them like this, and now you famous in Gardena, Alabama for the rest of your life. Jenelle, thank you for doing my check. This is gonna be dope. I'm gonna love editing this, man. This is gonna be good. This is gonna be good. People are gonna really, especially the interior design. That's something that people need to understand and know, because I didn't know a goddamn thing about it. I was like, yo.
And a lot of it's so crazy to me. And then, you know, like we have like this whole, like, it's a whole DIY culture that I'm not against it. It's just not for me. And, you know, I really want to kind of like cultivate this notion that Black people, we can have luxury too. Like,
Mm.
we don't have to, like at some point, when do you start really investing in your home and really taking value, and having some real shit? Like, I watch these videos, and while it's great that they're able to do some of that stuff is just like, okay, girl, what you really gonna do with this little, cardboard table leg? Yeah, look fine now, but it's just like, we deserve to have nice shit,
Luxury.
like, and why not? And so that's where I'm just trying to like toe the line. Like, I'm not trying to get, I mean, if I could get a $45,000 sofa client, I'm gonna take a 45,000 sofa client. But like in general, that's not my market.
Yeah.
But there is a price point where there are people who make a decent amount of money that can buy all the things. They just don't know what to do. So like, that's the market that I'm going for.
Sorry to interrupt your talk, but Darryl has to do something.
Okay. You need to keep that in. That was so cute. She says, look, it is father-daughter time. Y'all been on here way too long.
And I already told her to stay out of here for a while. Like, yo, like.
Right. She's like, it's my turn. But it's nothing better than like, look, a little girl loving her daddy.
Yeah, no,
I love my daddy.
I tell her all the time, just don't put me in a home. Just don't put me in a home.
I told my dad he needs to get himself together because
I might have to put him in a home.
Well, I wouldn't want to put my dad in a home, but my dad is like, I told you he's 6'6". And like,
I got no space for him. Well, Jenelle, let everybody know they can hit you up at all your socials.
Yes, you can hit me up. The only social media that I'm legitimately on is IG. So you can find me at A Black Girl in West Elm. And then you can always hit me up on my website, which is JenelleLovings.com. And that's all E's in Jenelle. So Jenelle.
Because somebody will
y'all niggas know y'all spell it wrong. With the A, with the G, with the double N. I've seen it all.
N, that's right. I
yes.
The double N.
So all of that, but like, hit me up with some services. I have like a lot of packages that are priced reasonably. I also create custom packages, a bespoke experience, if you will. So yeah, but mainly IG. I don't do Twitter. I signed up for Clubhouse. I don't know why I did
still haven't got on there. I don't have an iPhone, so I just
don't do it. Don't do it. This needs to like just pass on over. And I was telling my friend, I'm analog when it comes to my social media. So I like a podcast. I don't need a free for all, this modern day
anybody
chat
can just talk
room.
whatever.
It's like a modern day chat room. Like, and I'm not here for it, but that's
thank you, Jenelle. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
I'm gonna have it up next week. So
okay, awesome.
All right, have a good one.
Okay, well, enjoy your family time.
I gotta get I know, right?